Hey, welcome back, Founding Champions. Scott here in his jammies, looking at some previews. All right, check it out. Look at your screen in front of you, and first up we have Brazen Skullgrinder. I first off want to say that this card is good. This is a good card. It's a rare. It's a good card. It's clunky 2, damage to your opponent at the start of your turn. So it's just going to do 2, 2, 2. It's going to continue going on until you get rid of it, or they get rid of it. And then 1 damage to yourself at the start of your turn. Now that is after doing damage to them. So if they're at 2 and you're at 1, you'll kill them before you die. Now damage from this card cannot be increased by effects, so you can't buff it. Heroic Act, remove highlighted units. It does include itself, so he himself will get removed. But it will get rid of units on the left and right of himself. That's really good on activating last stand effects, and I think a lot of you are really aware of what good last stand effects that we do have. It's also a means of dealing damage to yourself every turn while also dealing damage to your opponent. There's that one, beast, wolf thingy, whatever that Chaos has. Every time you deal damage to your opponent, it does 2 damage and it rotates. Well, the issue with that is sometimes it just does damage to yourself, and it never rotates. So that card has a lot more downside than this. This, you're always going to at least get that 2 damage. This card definitely makes those types of decks better, that are, last stand effect decks. The most popular Chaos decks right now are just turbo rotation. They're just trying to play the best cards for turbo rotating their champions. They're not really worried about dealing damage to themselves and using cards like Pain-Induced Fury, things like that. They're not really too worried about that. But this card does make those decks better. I think they're pretty solid tier 2. I think we're only really one other good self-damaging sort of mechanic away, a card away from having that deck break into the tier 1. One really good card. Without further ado, we're going to go to the second card, because we got 4 that came out. And then we have a couple more, let's see. No, actually we only have 1 more later today, or it could be 1 to 8. It could be 8 cards later today. So I did want to get these 4 out of the way. Next up we have Guided Vanguard Hunters. I'm going to go here, take a look at some Vanguard Hunters before we get into the card. I want to go over the little flavor a little bit. So this is their unit of Vanguard Hunters, pretty big unit of Vanguard Hunters. This is what they do. Now I want to pull it all together. Guided Vanguard Hunters comes into play, deals damage right away. It eventually does 6 damage, which is just as much as a Platinum Decimator, but this card has strict upside, does that damage right away. And that's pretty big on rotating champions and trying to dodge removal. You've already gotten a little bit of value out of your card. Heroic Act, move this unit to another highlighted disengaged warrior champion. So then it can move around. And this is a very flavorful card. It does very similar to what Vanguard Hunters do in the models game. Astral Compass, this is basically what, I'm not going to go into too much depth because I know a lot of you don't play the model game, but it has a lot of flavor. When you play this card, you can feel good about this card does what a Vanguard Hunter is supposed to do by moving around, and it's your standard foot troop. So A+ on flavor. We got an A+ on design. I think it's designed very well. Going back to that flavor and going to tournament setting, it's very well designed, and it's definitely a competitive card, very competitive card. Brazen Skullgrinder, competitive. Don't know too much yet. Creates a lot more potential. Like a B on flavor. Oh, we've seen a few. We have another card that has this guy, this little art on it. Not exact art, but basically that same unit. What was it? The one that does 2 damage and 1 damage to yourself, and his last stand when he dies, it kills the guy in the lane. Yeah. So we already kind of have a guy that's like that. And but A+ on design. A+ on design. I think it was designed very well. It has a almost wall of text. It does a lot of little things that you need. We needed a card that kind of just did a lot of little things like that. Now next up, and I stepped back. Now I'm going back forward. So next up is Moonshield Grots. We're going to go over this one real quick. It's bad. It's terrible. I'm going to tell you what it's good at, but because just about everything about it is bad. Moonshield Grot, it doesn't really feel like the models. The models is just a bunch of little dudes. They're very cheap. They die really easy. They don't do much in terms of shielding. I mean, look at that shield. I mean, Moonshield Grot, what? I mean, it could be Moon Spear Grot for all anybody cares. It doesn't. So, C- on flavor. The only reason why it has not an F is because it kind of sticks around for a while to represent, a swarm, and it has stacking. That's about it. It doesn't competitive play. We're looking at not competitive at all. It doesn't protect you right away. You have to wait. You're going to get almost any other grot with Grot Ambush. This card's just not good. Now, what it is good at, it's good at being a stacking card that lasts for a long time. That's about it. Now, it gives you that utility. If you were like, okay, I'm building my deck, I need a stacking card that lasts a long time. I need a 4-corner stacking card. This is it. You got a 4-corner. Now, it's not the best one. I think we can all think of a stacking card that's way better that has 4 corners. I don't know, Orc Scrapers, right? 4 corners, way better than this guy. So, and there's another one that does damage also 4 corners. So, this card is not good. It's a common, so I think I've talked enough about it. Next up, lastly, we have Evocator Prime. This guy, well, I just went really fuzzy there for my, there we go. This is all sorts of bad. This card's really bad. I don't know why they even bothered previewing this. This is just kind of came as an afterthought. Just spell, ability, Stormcast, -1, cost 5, champion wizard. I'm sorry, but this should have been a warrior wizard. Evocator is not just a wizard. He's as much a warrior as he is a wizard, okay? Increase damage from this champion's spells by 1 while the highlighted champion is engaged. That ability does not reflect what an Evocator does. Here's an Evocator right here. It's very similar to a Paladin. It has those 3 wounds, as unlike the other cards. War Scrolls you've seen only have 2 wounds. So it has that Paladin feel. Has a Paladin feel on attacks. 3s to hit, 3s to wound, -1 damage. Grand Stave is this other weapon that you could equip it with. 3s and 3s, 2 damage. The magic ability, you need to have 2 Evocators to cast a spell. They usually come in groups of 3. Any number of models, I guess, technically. But they usually come in groups of 3. You see them in groups of 5, too. The game allows you to play different groups. You could technically have 1 if you'd like. They can cast Empower. They can't cast Mystic Shield or Arcane Bolt like a lot of other wizards can do. You need multiples of them to even cast anything. Empower makes your Redeemer or Sacrosanct unit wholly within 12 inches better. It's a buff. It's not even a damage. So it doesn't feel like an Evocator at all. This helps your save rolls. Addition each time its unit attacks, and it helps out its melee attack. It does nothing. So it's a the warrior, increasing save rolls, things like that. Dealing mortal wounds every time you attack an enemy, basically with its melee attacks, not a spell attack. So it doesn't flow well at all. So I'm going to stop harping on that. So I'm going to go, well, where is it? There it is. F, F, F. It basically has the art of an Evocator. And it's got the name. That's about it. F, F, F. Terrible. And guys, this is about a 10-minute video. I do want to thank you for watching. Those are the previews of, I guess, yesterday. We do have, I don't know, maybe 8 previews coming up today. I can't wait to see. 5 p.m. GMT, so it's not going to be, it's going to be way back then, okay? So it's not going to be at a good hour for me as an East Coast guy. But we're going to see it. Going to make a little tiny video, and I do want to thank you for watching, and I hope you have an outstanding